Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to bring this District of Clearwater regular council meeting for Tuesday, April 16th at 2 o'clock to order. I would like to begin by acknowledging we're fortunate to be gathering together on the unceded territory of the Simpcw people who have been caretakers of this land since time immemorial. Are there any late items that anyone would like to add to the agenda? There is one report under 9.3 of the Committee of the Whole. It's the management report. So we'll add that to the Committee of the Whole agenda. If not, can I get a motion to adopt the regular council agenda? A mover and a seconder on that one. Moved by Councillor Frizzle, seconded by Councillor Bratton. All those in favor, that passes. Are there any declarations of known conflict of interest or pecuniary interest? Okay, seeing none. TNRD director is not online. We have a delegation, poetry reading. Sita, Rebizant? Rebizant?
Good enough.
Come on down.
Here, I'm guessing? Okay. And is, am I supposed to, yeah, oh, that works. Okay. Just go for it? Okay, happy Poetry Month. So, it's called Come Play With Me. Who has time to write a poem these days, to sit and think and feel? Who can trust the words to flow right out from their hearts onto the page? So vulnerable. What if they laugh? Or worse, what if they feel nothing at all? Who would risk to share their soul this way but a fool or a child? Remember when you wrote poems and drew pictures of houses and sunshine? Come play with me. It doesn't have to be over. What makes you feel alive? I want to see you, the real you, hiding behind the shield of your laptop. Will you take time to write a poem for me? I wrote this one for you.
Thank you. I think we should have April at least 6 times a year so that we can do more of this. Yes. Yeah, thank you. Yes. Making me think about fools and children and counselors. Anyways, mayors. Thank you for that. We have item 8.1. We have minutes of the regular council meeting held April 2nd. Adopts. Any errors or omissions?
No.
Give you a second to review. If not, mover and a seconder.
Moved.
You can escape if you like. I mean, poetry, but you don't have to punish yourself. Thank you. If no errors or omissions, can I get a mover and a seconder, please?
Moved.
Moved by Councillor Bratton, seconded by Councillor Matheson. All those in favor, and that passes. We move on to item, we're already there. 9.1. There's a recommendation that council recesses to the April 16th regular council meeting into the conclusion of the committee whole session schedule for the same day. So move on to, moved, seconded by Councillor McKenzie. My brain's gone today. All those in favor, and I pass the chair over to acting mayor or deputy mayor for the month, Shelley Sim. That's you. You are running the committee of the whole, which is the agenda there, and there's the on table for 9.3 as well.
Great. Well, welcome everybody. This is exciting. So we've made the introduction of late items. Thank you very much. Okay. And recommendation that the April 16th Committee of the Whole agenda be approved as presented. Motion by Councillor Bratton, seconded by Councillor Frizzle. All those in favor? Thank you very much. That would pass. And again for this one, if there is a declaration of any known conflict of interest or pecuniary interest. I see none. We have no delegations and presentation. We're moving next to the adoption of minutes. Minutes of the Committee of the Whole meeting that was last held on March the 12th. Can I get a motion? This time I'm going to pick on Councillor McKenzie. Thank you very much. Seconded by Councillor Frizzle. All those in favor? Thank you very much for that. That we have no unfinished business. We are going to move straight into the report, and we're going to hear first from Mr. Mayor, Parks and Recreations Facility, a project update. Mr. Mayor, over to you.
Yes, excuse me. Yes, just a
Mr.
update
Mayor, I'm
on.
going to just ask. Oh, we're going to try
Hello.
and get your volume up just a little bit. So if I'm going to ask for a test. So go ahead and just say test.
Test, please.
No, we're going to try it again.
Test,
Try again.
test,
Yeah, and you know what? We may even try for a little more volume.
test.
Yes, that is excellent. Thank you very much.
Yes, so update on the Parks and Facilities projects. The Clearwater River Trail, 99% complete. We just have to do the north parking lot. The second floor expansion, we've hired a firm to conduct a feasibility study. They will be starting very shortly if they haven't already. Parks improvements at 37 East. We're preparing to tender the walk pathway from the beach all the way to the RCMP. That'll be stage one. Once we have a firm price on that, then we can continue on with some of the other work. DLCC HVAC and air handlers, all the equipment's been ordered. They're waiting for equipment to arrive, and then they should be starting hopefully by the 1st of June. The accessibility grant project, we are looking at some handicap doors at the arena, wheelchair accessible picnic tables, and some playground equipment for the splash park. The Sportsplex roof, the contractor is prepared to start as soon as budget is approved, which hopefully will be today. The Yellow Iris project has not been started yet. Zamboni fire. Still waiting for formal confirmation from the insurance company on paper. We've been looking at a short-term replacement and a long-term replacement of Zambonis. Brand new Zamboni is a 9-month wait for delivery, so we need a short-term replacement. Raptor viewing platform is being repaired temporarily to get it open again for this year. I will have a staff report for council at your next meeting. Trails inspection from the Municipal Insurance Agency. There are some changes to make to some of our trails. We hope to get that started soon. And the parks are open for the season. Washrooms, irrigation, everything's up and running. Any questions?
Council, I see Councillor Bratton.
Hello, Roger. That looks awesome where you're at. I am curious about, and you may not be able to answer this right now, but where our generator is at. Do you know any where that is?
That
it's
would
not
be
you?
a question for Mr. McCormick.
Okay, fine. And the other one is Zamboni takes 9 months. What are our ideas for short term?
We're looking at purchasing a used Olympia machine from the village of Lillooet for approximately $5,000.
Wow, that's awesome. I think that's all my questions. I had another one.
If that Olympia does not work out, we can get a loaner from the Zamboni supplier. The cost on that is $2,500 a month, so we're looking at about $15,000 there. And whether or not that would be covered by the insurance company is an issue to be resolved yet.
Mayor Blackwell.
Follow up on that, Roger. If you don't succeed with that, I still had 2 more offers from other communities, and they're a little stale dated right now. One was Merritt, and another one was on the coast for actual Zambonis for
Okay.
for use. So if that one falls through, let me know, and I'll poke those people for see if they still have those available. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I remembered one more.
Councillor Bratton, a further question.
I remembered my other question. You said there was changes to the trails. What? It was just real quick. Sorry, I missed what you meant.
Yeah, municipal insurance had some concerns on some of the trails about signage and pathways. I can't even recall all of them. I think there was 5 or 6, but nothing major.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Frizzle.
Hi, Roger. Part of the 37 East, when do you expect the tender to be going out for that?
I believe in about 10 days.
Oh, okay, so do you know how long that would take? Is it going to be done for the summer?
I'm not sure. That would be a question for Mr. Carmichael as well.
Okay, thank you.
Do I have further questions? Just on the heel of Councillor Frizzle's question, so we've got the park improvement, the beach pathway, 37 East property. What do you see that looking like to be completed by Q4? In your mind, what does that? What can we expect?
I'm not sure. We want to get the pathway done, and then we want to do some work on the reshaping the banks around the parking lot. If we can afford to go forward with the gazebo for the Loggers Memorial, that's usually a 3-month project as well. So we really have to wait on this pathway and just see how the numbers come in and the time frame for that.
And that's a paved pathway?
That's right now we're looking at a paved pathway, yes.
Okay, Councillor Frizzle.
Just one other question on 37 East. Do we have signage that's going to go up there eventually to let people know, so we can connect to the river trail, for example, and other activities or trails that are within the community?
It's been discussed, but no formal plan has been made for that.
So there's not funding for signage? I feel like it's rattling around in my head.
I think that one of the things that we've discussed is using 37 East as the trailhead for the river trail, just so we've got visitors who are using that parking space as opposed to moving into the neighborhoods and just divesting Dutch Lake subdivision from excessive traffic.
Yeah, it would be nice to have some kind of a kiosk there with good signage for the tourists, especially. To let them even know that trail is there, and to showcase some of the other points of interest in the community.
And maybe I'll ask Councillor Frizzle. Councillor Frizzle, has this been discussed with Tourism Wells Grey, and would this be covered under any of their visitor information services?
They haven't discussed it at all, but I do have a meeting with them next week. I'll bring it up.
Would that be helpful, Mr. Mayor? Mr. Roger.
Yes.
It would.
Okay.
Okay. Great. Do we have other questions from the committee? I was just going to ask, what does the feasibility study look like? Like, you think that they've almost started. So what's the community expectation around what that would look like?
Well, excuse me, has been a set of drawings produced by an engineering firm in Kamloops just to look at what's possible with that space. And I'm hoping on I believe it's the May 2nd is the next council meeting, or 7th possibly. Strategies North would like to come and make a presentation to council. At that time, I'd like to show you the council the drawings as well. Get your input on that. Then they plan to, they'll lay it all out for you, exactly their plans, but they want lots of community input. The grant was to focus on marginalized groups. However, they're going to look at the community as a whole as well. And just how do people feel about this? What could we add? What's good? What's bad?
That sounds really good. And it sounds like they've got an idea for some robust community engagement. My other question is in follow-up to last one, and just because the parks contractor has started, were they able to connect with Rotary and on the plans for the bee garden, pollinator?
Flowers, yeah.
Yes. There's some emails, conversations going back between them. just trying to set up a time to go down and have a look at it. But it sounds like it's all going to go through.
I think the community will look forward to that one.
Know where though? Where are they planting?
I don't know if you heard Councillor Frizzle, but has everybody decided on a location? Was that something done through
Yes.
email?
That would be on the Roy Road grassed area across from the Wells Gray Hotel.
Oh, good.
Oh, good.
Okay.
There's already a planting circle
Yeah,
there now
yeah.
with irrigation.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think you had brought that forward, so I'm glad that was able to move forward. My last question is with the enthusiasm for pickleball. Do you get any comments on that or feedback, or what our outdoor courts look like, or how much we need to save to keep up with this social phenomena?
I'm getting a lot of feedback, as is Ms. Culp. We have purchased some portable pickleball nets, and we've converted one set of tennis courts into pickleball courts. Depending, we may look at resurfacing, repainting one set of tennis courts into 4 pickleball courts for next year. I have to talk to contractor, see what we need to do to that tennis court surface. It may need to be redone, so we could possibly convert it to pickleball at that time.
I was in California in January, and it was incredible being at this country club, and they had 24 tennis courts, but because of the enthusiasm for pickleball, they held this huge pickleball tournament, and they actually spent the money on repaving everything for the tournament and then bringing it back to tennis courts. That is how significant, and the economic value to the community was just ginormous, and it was in part funded by the city. So yes, you are ahead of the curve, Mr. Mayor. And any other questions that have come up from this report at all? Any last ones? Okay, thank you very much. It's nice to get this update. It's nice to hear that the parks are ready, because I think soccer starts on Wednesday. So
Yes.
that's marvelous. Great. And actually, just before you go, there was one comment from the soccer club. Do we need to do anything for increased security around the field house?
There's not a lot we can do there. They have some concerns about people who have access to the storage rooms. The only people who've ever got keys to that is past soccer executives. So I'm not sure exactly what to do about that. I hate to get everything rekeyed. Soccer doesn't get charged anything for the use of that building, and it's a little bit of a ticklish situation right now, but I'll get it when I'm back in town. We'll get it resolved.
Great. Do you think it's worth just touching base with the RCMP to do a few drive-throughs and just maybe
We can
do some
certainly
deterrent?
ask them to do that. Vandalism in town as a whole is way down. It's really good right now, and almost none of the parks have been vandalized. It's very minimal. So, but I can speak with the RCMP about it.
Yeah, I just know how hard that group works, and their registration numbers are once again just escalating, and I know that they work hard to maintain it and appreciate the generosity of the district. So it'll be fun to see all those kids out there. Okay, with that,
one more.
one more from Councillor Bratton.
Just because you mentioned soccer, ball with the ball field down on the flats, that bathroom has been opened up and is ready to go for ball season?
Yes, they are.
Okay, cool, thank you.
Yes, believe slow pitch and minor ball are both starting this week.
Right, yeah. Okay.
Well, let the games begin. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us this afternoon, Mr. Mayor, and appreciate the report.
Okay.
Okay, and with that, now someone's going to have to remind me. Are we going to do? Is this 9.1 for the addition or 9.3? 9.3. Thanks. So let's move to 9.2, a service level review, staff report, service level review, road maintenance contract. Over to you. Looking very handsome in your shirt today.
Thank you. Yeah, so this service level review was the Jonathan Huggett, the engineer. He's a third party that our former CAO recommended and got me in touch with. He went through the contract and he pointed out things that he thought might need a closer look. The first one is the performance metrics. And he identified that defining how the quality of work will be measured and the consequences for failing to meet these standards could ensure a higher level of service. I don't know if that would really work in Clearwater to have penalties on a contract. I mean, right now, if it's not working out, the contract's going to end. Adding penalties to that, I don't know if that would improve the situation or not. But that's something I'm going to reach out to the lawyer on most of these points here and see if they have any feedback for me. On the next point, it's kind of flexibility of unforeseen circumstances. So we have this section in our contract talking about timeframes and being prepared for snow that you don't know is coming. And his comments were more about negotiating a new price. But I think the whole purpose of having a 5-year contract or a 4-year contract is that it's supposed to balance out over the many winters. At least that's how we were intending it to be. So I don't think we should be renegotiating because it snowed more than they expected. Do you guys want to talk about each of these points, or should I just move on through them and then we can come back?
Yeah, I see that Mayor Blackwell has a question.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on the longer term contract. That generally is how things should work, is that you have a heavy year, you have a light year of snowfall, and it makes a lot of sense. When we originally went out to roads contract, we had incidents per year of snowfall, and then one year we had something like 8 or 10 incidents at a daily rate above that, that we ended up going considerably over budget on snowfall in 1 year, and it just wasn't a sustainable taxation balance budgeting model. So I agree with that, and also I would agree with you on not being so concerned about penalties I see setting strict rules as to things that have come up, like size of aggregate, type of equipment that we're expecting to be used and things like that, and sometimes response time. But for the most part, I don't see that setting financial penalties is really going to do anything as far as that goes. So I would agree with that too. And then, especially now with the predictability, weather forecasting is generally fairly accurate these days to tell you, said it was going to rain at 2 o'clock here, and it looked like it was going to rain at 2 o'clock here. As far as somebody having to predict whether or not they're going to need to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and go plow snow, I don't think anybody's been caught that off guard in the last few years on those kind of weather predictions. So I think it adds a lot more stability to the ability of a roads contractor to figure out what their business model is. Most of this, the specifics and that sort of thing looks like a conversation between management and whoever gets the contract. The only one that kind of I think is going to be an interesting conversation with the public is not plowing out driveways after having tried to do that for one winter. But at the same time, if that's a barrier to attracting new contractors, then so be it.
Okay. The next.
Well, just before you head on, I'm just going to turn to Councillor Bratton.
I was just curious too with that is, sorry, now it went and left my head. When we start the contract, I kind of was reading what this fellow had written up, but there some sort of way of double checking that the contractor that is successful has said things that they need for the contract. I know we do that. Some sort of confirmation system.
We unfortunately knew last year when we hired the roads contractor that he didn't have as much experience as we wanted.
Right. And also like supplies,
Equipment.
you know, yeah. And so if there's some sort of system in place, I don't know. I'm not a
Yeah, no, that's fair.
contractor, but yeah. Suggestion.
Just on that, I do have a question. Is it being suggested that we still keep the same clause that the district can release the contract with 30 days notice?
Yeah, to my knowledge, no one, it wasn't recommended in this report. That's something that can be discussed, though.
Is that standard provincially? And the only reason I ask is because 30 days, does that make us attractive to bid, or is it something, I don't know what is out there for provincial standards.
Okay.
But I just look at it, it is important. There's not a lot of roads contractors out there. How do we position ourselves proactively and demonstrate a willingness to partner and grow? I found it interesting, even last year, Kamloops was quite clear in their messaging, is that, you know, they are working hard to train new people. So, you know, getting staff and getting that ability to train. So is that an important part of how we work with the contractor to ensure that?
Yeah, I'll have to look into that more, but for sure. So that could be a deterrent, having that 30-day clause or something.
Yeah, and then just to follow on the heels of Mayor Blackwell, is it recommended for the 3, 4, or 5 years? Again, I don't know what the provincial standard is or what other areas do. Is 5 years? Is it 3 and then to renegotiate?
Provincially, it's usually 10.
10.
But for us, for municipal government, it's nice not to end up in an election year, so that we're not renewing before or after an election year. So a 5 is a nice increase. I mean, it's going to take you 20 years to cycle into your contract potentially aligning with an election year. But 5 and 5, you know, 5 with a 5-year renewal was a lot of contracts. So there is a break to have a sort of, the contract is 10 years, but a lot of contracts that I've seen with the province are 5. Talk about it at 5. If the province or the party has to drop away, then they have an opportunity to do so without penalty at the middle mark of the contract. If not, if everybody agrees, they can renew for another 5. I've seen that a lot.
Andy, yeah.
Okay. Yes, Ms. Klassen.
As far as I know, the community charter allows us to go for 5 years as a maximum, and then we can negotiate another 5 years.
Oh, okay.
But 5 years at a time.
Okay, terrific, great. Okay, continue on.
All right. Yeah, the next section is environmental considerations, which are, his comment is that enforcement if they're breaking environmental rules. And I think we probably should for the environmental
Right.
section.
Mayor Blackwell.
Yeah, and specific on that one, I did notice this winter snow with grit being pushed into the river, which I know is not kosher. So that is the kind of regulation that I think we do need to have. I mean, we should have that in their contract, because the authority that would come after us would throw a much higher penalty on that if we are not proactively ensuring that that's not happening.
Great.
All right. So the next section is the dispute resolution process. Current contract gets to just ending the contract. So Mr. recommended having a more spread out step by step who you would meet with to mitigate, and then go up a level, but we don't really have that many levels here.
No, we don't.
Whether bad weather or good weather.
It'd be is necessary here, and most companies that we'd be working with the owner or the second in charge anyway. So.
Questions on that point? It almost seems as though where it needs to be a bit more robust is in the enforcement and what that looks like, and whether, how does that work with the district to ask for compliance and our tracking? Is that what maybe came up, or did you have some thoughts after going through this winter, what you might do differently?
Yeah, like tracking is difficult. We don't have enough employees to follow around equipment, like not continuously anyway, right? Yeah. So we would just do spot checks, and I'd go out to Dun Lake one morning before I went into the office, and then I'd go to Candle Creek the next day, and just do kind of random checks. But yeah,
which I think is important, because then you get a variety of neighborhoods, and we're able to document that then, and then we're creating that paperwork trail.
Yeah.
And then I guess on that is what happens if it's not in compliance? And I wouldn't want to get to dispute, but right. How do we manage when it's not in compliance? What are the thoughts around that?
Yeah, if the person you're working with, you tell them where they're non-compliant, and they tell you they're going to fix it, and they don't, I think you're coming to the end of that contract anyway. So I'm not sure how to, like, enforcement. You can follow them, you can check to make sure they do it. But if you have to do it every day, then it gets tough as well.
Mayor Blackwell, do you know if, in terms of legalities, if that can be written into a contract? Is that if it's compliance, that it's in an extended period, that it is grounds? Or, I mean, how do we hold people accountable?
Well, I think it comes back to the earlier things with the suggestions about penalties for non-performance. I mean, that's one option, but go ahead, Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, I think we learned in this session that, or our last contract, we probably need to step up our opportunity to go out as a new contract and have a higher level of checking to see where they're at. So moving forward, should we come back forward with a contract or another option, we will look at our staff level to make sure that we've got somebody that can look after the contract very, very keenly. I know Mr. Carmichael spent a lot of his time at the expense of a lot of other projects, making sure that the contractor performed, or in this case, didn't, unfortunately. So yeah, we have lessons learned from this contract that we're looking to put forward to the next one. What we wanted to do here was provide council with an overview with some of the context from an outside individual's perspective about what our contract looked like. So we wanted to marry that with what we learned from and our lessons learned moving forward, so we don't wind up in this position again with another contract, because nobody wants to go through this again.
Great, thank you. So I think that brings us on you. So we've worked with the environmental. Did you want to say anything about the dispute, or do you feel that that's handled?
Yeah, I don't think I don't work at the level. I think if you were a main company, I think that the resolution would here you're already top kind of. So.
Great. Okay. So the next one is enhanced performance metrics.
Yeah, this is kind of the minutia, I guess, of like the driveways would fall into there, I suppose, as an example. But the is from the provincial standards. Here's the district as well. And I think most contractors are familiar with. My mic seems very loud.
Great. Questions on that point, council? Nope. Okay. Increased transparency and accountability.
I agree. Yeah, the transparency, like as far as making sure that GIS is up and running, showing where the equipment is, with the GPS, and having communications, much better communications.
Councillor Bratton?
I'm wondering if we can put that back on the contractor so that we don't, I mean, it's quite an investment for us to have to go that route for us. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering if it's part of the contract that they come situated with GIS capabilities. most rigs now are coming
GPS.
with, well, GPS, but, you know, same kind of situation. They can provide data, where they've been, how they've been, and all of that. It is after the fact. It's not during the session, but
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, and it was set up in the contract that way,
It was.
and they did have GPS in their trucks, and he showed me how it worked on his iPad. We didn't have the software,
Oh, I see.
and we didn't get it set up.
But how would that change the situation? So say you had it set up, what would you actually do with that information at the time? Like,
That's more compliance stuff, I guess. Just making sure.
that they're actually at work when they say they're at work,
Yeah.
sort of deal?
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay.
You can
Would
compare
staff have an idea of what that software would cost the district?
Yes, we've already purchased it.
Oh, we've purchased
Oh,
it.
we have. Oh,
And we're done.
mute conversation.
Well, because we didn't,
How much? It was about $1,100 just for the.
we're looking forward to implementing it next year. Anything else you'd like to say on that point? Anything else you'd like to say on that one?
I don't think so.
I think I do just want to make one comment, is although transparency and all of that is good, is there a tipping point where it becomes actually a stress on staff resources, that you're always having to be accountable to the public? And the fact that there needs to be a cautionary tale of, yes, technology is great, but with everything, there is a cost to that. And to be conservative with the expectations, and it is not necessarily to always convey, so that people can't go on the live satellite and, you know, track where Santa is and where a roads contractor is. But that is it intended more for an internal process?
Exactly, yes.
Okay, and I think that is important. Otherwise, it is
yeah.
we're just a small community, and to look at our expectations accordingly.
Yeah, and if we have a complaint and say, we haven't seen a plow come by in 3 days or whatever, it's like, well, actually, we've seen it go by, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Johnson, you had something to add?
Yeah, even in large communities, implementing GPS is a very, very rigorous, and you know, you need a couple of staff members to make that happen, and we just don't have the capacity to have that. So I think we have to be realistic about the opportunities we provide for public input, and if we say we're going to do that, it needs to be robust enough that people can do it, but at the same time not set an expectation up here and then, you know, consistently underachieve. So to me, when we bring back a contract, we want to make sure it's achievable. We have our lessons learned. We have comments and feedback from council. We of course have the feedback from when we had the public meeting where people were here talking about snow removal under the last contract. We all have that information. What's really important is we create what we say is a lessons learned from projects, whether good, bad, or indifferent. So we're not making the same mistakes over and over again, because that's the definition of crazy.
Yeah.
Great. And I think that that's very wise. So I guess we'll move now to the last page. Adoption of innovative technologies.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how to feel about this one. I think it should be encouraged on an RFP for like value added. If a company can do everything that we ask for, plus they've got some great new ideas, that's good. But I don't think we should be asking for state of the art things as a requirement and limit who we're going to get.
No, I think that that's very wise. I mean, I love my heated seats, but the, you know, extra for the sunroof maybe isn't what the budget allows. So I think that the same is said with the contractor, is what do we need?
Yeah. Because
Ultimately it comes down to the taxpayer and what they want. And I think that they want safe roads and reliability.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think your comment here says it quite nicely. I think we had plenty of feedback last winter. I think that was true.
Yes. Yeah, I don't think we need to do a survey at this time. Well, we have a good.
No, there might be something at some point about a satisfaction, but that could be tied into all levels of thinking.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. And then your summary here is you've got some changes that you're bringing forward.
Yeah, and I haven't marked up the document in detail, like for the RFP to go out. That is my next step. But these are some of the things that just kind of came out of the winter. So
Great. I think that there's some good takeaways that you've listed here. So before we move on to the next report, is there any other comments or questions that council would like to? Yep, Councillor Branton.
And our RFP for this, it would be roughly ready to send out at what time?
I'd like to have it out by the end of May.
Yeah, and that's a good time frame for you to be able to situate for things needed to be done early in the season and all of that. Like, is that a good time frame for you?
I think so. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And would it be May would be the time going forward as well? Like, so we would put it up for 5 years?
Yeah, this isn't an ideal time.
Okay.
We don't really have any other options, so trying to get it out as soon as possible.
Mayor Blackwell.
Yeah, and on that, putting the RFP in May with a relatively short turnaround time gives you the opportunity, which didn't happen last time, to do rebid if necessary. Second thing that I think is important is, we may not be paying for GIS, GPS internally, if to have that technology. If knowing what Argo Road Services has done, because snow plowing and winter maintenance is a thankless job, it attracts so much public attention. Their trucks themselves, they've taken it upon themselves to create that system, create that log, so that when the complaints do come in, that they have that readily available. I will send you the log that says that the plow went down the Dunn Lake Road between this time and this time on Friday morning from this point to this point. Argo Road Maintenance has taken that upon themselves just so that they could be answerable to the public and to tell people that just because you didn't see it, the plow was actually there. So I think, as somebody who did that kind of stuff, is quality service plans and things like that, quality assurance plans, quite often as a company, it's a really good idea if you take it on yourself to create that paperwork and that logging system, because it defends you against these sorts of things and provides that's an excellent extra level of service to whoever your customer is, and the customer in this case being us. Thank you.
I'm going to hold that question because I'm just conscious of the time, and I'm seeing that this is a very robust report. And I know that we want to get to it. So is there anything else that you would like to share with council in regards to this review?
I guess I just wanted to clarify the software that I purchased it's just ArcGIS, which is kind of the base platform. There may be another add-on required to get it linked to the GPS, but this is the common base that everyone uses.
I think it's very prudent. I start with the deluxe. We've all done that and then realized, oh, we didn't actually need it. So just ask us all with our phones. So great. Thank you very much. So with that, we will move over to the management report. This is a really extensive report and just an excellent summary of all sorts of things. Just to maybe, because I don't think we have it, what would you like us to know about this report?
I don't know. I think the report is because you wanted to know what's happening. So.
It is, but are there some particular highlights? Like, I mean, I think that one of the things that we might want to hone in right now would be the water project and the backup generator. And it looks like that the proposed start date is June, July for that.
Yes.
So that's when we're expecting installation. And in the event of an emergency, it could be flicked on by July 2nd. No?
Well, hopefully within July. They haven't arrived yet, but they've told me the generators are supposed to be here at the end of June. So they'll be starting June and July.
Okay, and we've got some commitments from the suppliers on that?
Yes.
Okay, that sounds great. Yes, Mayor Blackwell.
Yeah, and I did note on item 5 that the road sweeping and maintenance, which the public would love to know about, is scheduled, proposed schedule for May 1st to 8th on here, and hopefully that comes true. Considering it snowed today, I mean, in some areas of town.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's good news just to start to see some dates around those, even if they're not firm dates, 100% firm dates. Thank you. Yeah, and excellent work here, excellent summary on this. I really do like everything that's here. This very concisely spells out all the things that you have going on right now, and I really appreciate that. Thank you.
There's lots of little things that are like connected to having the water permit, like the check valve cross connection program that we've started, and we have forms for it, but we don't have a strict process for it, and we need to have that documented in order to keep our water license. So by the end of the year, and the watershed management program, we're supposed to have one in place also with the water license. So there's things like that that I just got added in January when I met with Interior Health.
Nice.
But they're
You mean a
surprised by
government
it.
agency added things? I haven't heard of that.
But yeah, the Candle Creek Road project and the sidewalk project at 37 East should be tendered at the same time. So they're thinking the end of this week or early next week. But
One of the questions that council had at a previous meeting is, has there been an opportunity to meet with TMX about some of the road works and some of the mitigation that they were hoping to participate with?
I think they've came back and did all the.
So
the
that's all
patching.
complete?
Yeah,
All the roads are complete there?
yeah.
Okay. Any questions on that, Councillor Bratton?
It's off topic. It's at the back. I see that there's slated cemetery upgrades. Do we not need to have the bylaw updated first before we do stuff there? No?
They should probably be done in conjunction, but if
Okay.
we,
Because all of that you have labeled there was part of what we were discussing during the back page.
on the committee, cemetery.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, so I just wasn't sure of the process.
Yeah,
But this is cool.
We're gonna run out of room soon, so we gotta get either the bylaw cooking fast, so we can get this approved for next year, yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
With all of the budget amounts that are listed in this report, these are all confirmed and they will move ahead for this year.
Yeah,
Okay?
I think so. Well, within reason, some of them I might have taken out. The rip wrapping, the Clearwater River Bridge, it's gonna be a 2-year project. So it's gonna be all design and geotechnical engineering this year and getting approvals. And then it should be construction next year.
Okay, so that's a phased project.
Yeah.
The other comments that you've got in here relate to some of the water conservation suggestions and measures. Did you want to highlight anything there?
Yeah, well, I'm going to a conference this week in Kelowna. It's based on the extreme weather and water conservation.
And that's,
everybody's
can you just explain to us what WSABC is?
Yeah, water. I think it's Watershed ABC is Association of British Columbia.
Okay, thanks.
Water supply. Sorry, not watershed.
I did notice in Kamloops yesterday is that they actually have signs around the city that have a sliding scale. So where we see, the fire rating is they've actually got drought ratings.
Oh yeah.
And is that something that would be pertinent to our community, just to draw awareness to water use?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. We need to get pamphlets out to people and share information, and we need to update our bylaws so that we can enforce people that have sprinklers on, that sort of thing. I don't know if we're set up to enforce that, but
I see notes are being taken. Yes, Councillor Frizzle.
Yes, that is a question on the water restrictions. When are they supposed to start up?
well, hopefully I'll have some answers next week.
Is that something that maybe we need to put on the May 7th agenda?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Yeah, and if you are driving through, I did find that drought board was actually really helpful, and although they are at 0, it does allow for a sliding scale. Oh, Mr. Johnson. Just in Kamloops, I actually took a photo. Yeah, I will share. Pardon? Just they've got it at sort of different places. Like when you go over to the North Shore and the bridge there, it's on each end, and it's sort of strategically placed through major corridors. Like there's not a lot of them, but it does draw your attention to, and you immediately become more mindful. And that is something in our community we are so blessed to be surrounded by water, is that we maybe sometimes don't understand the implications of what's going on.
Yes.
Drought denial.
That's a good
a
one.
T-shirt. Okay, just looking at the time here, Councillor, are there any other questions that you would like to address? I think it's almost worth bringing this report back to May 7th, just to be able to have that review, and if there's any other questions. It is so well done and so detailed, and I'm so glad that we're going to be able to report this out to the public, because it's extensive and really brings to light all the work that is being done in your department. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, Councillor Frizzle.
I was going to say I had a long list of questions I was going to ask about just about everything you answered in your report. So it was great that they were answered.
Great. Looking around the table, is there anything else to add on that? No. So just to be clear, we'll bring this back on May 7th just as unfinished business in case there are questions that council wants to reflect on. And then we'll look forward to hearing back about your conference and maybe what Clearwater needs to do and being proactive going into this season. I think that's...
Excellent.
You need a motion to reconvene into the regular meeting, I believe.
Yeah, I know, but you know, what I'm thinking is I am still on daylight savings time, and we don't have to start council at 2 because we already started it. So I feel like I maybe have rushed you, or is this adequate time? We're actually...
I mean, for the amount of reports there, I mean, we're 40 minutes. It's not bad.
So is everybody good? It is a lot, and I don't know if we can... I hope that meets with council's approval.
I think that the suggestion to bring this back to the May 7th, our second meeting, is a good idea, because it being on table and the amount of content there, even though it is very easy to digest in this form, questions will come up in a half an hour, 45 minutes. And the
Absolutely.
opportunity
So-
to bring them back in a regular council answered for the public record is excellent.
Good.
Thank you for that.
Okay, so with that, I do look forward to a motion to move into regular council. That is going to go to Councillor Matheson this time, making the motion, seconded by Councillor Bratton. All those in favor? Good, excellent meeting. Thank you very much for all of that good work.
Thank you, Chair Sim. Moving on to, we don't have any minutes at this, oh, we do, sorry. Adoption of Committee of the Whole recommendations from April 16th, 2024. Were there any recommendations? There were no recommendations. So nothing under 11, nothing under 12, 13, Mayor's report, very short this time. Busy 2 weeks, but not a lot with the actual events. On April 3rd, I met with the heads of the BC RCMP Highway Patrol for the region. Good hour and a half chat. Myself, Mayor Stamer, and a representative from Peter Millibar's office attended, took a lot of notes. The short answer from RCMP is that at current there are no plans to remove Highway Patrol or centralize it back to Kamloops at this point. That said, there is a provincial election coming up, and I don't think anybody would make that kind of move before an election. But we did have a great conversation in general on highway safety, how their system works. I did express concerns that the positions here were not being filled. They did state that they are having a very hard time filling positions across British Columbia, not just Highway Patrol. One thing I did learn, which was news to me, is that unlike general duty RCMP officers who can leave depot in Saskatchewan and come straight into any small town depot in British Columbia, Highway Patrol officers actually have to serve in a larger city, or somebody like Burnaby, and do that full rounded training as an RCMP officer, not just on the highway patrol side.
That's
So they don't,
interesting.
their first assignment out of depot is never to a small town and highway patrol. There are a couple pilot projects to change that in sort of associated larger city areas in British Columbia, and I believe Burnaby Detachment is one of them. So hopefully that there's some change there, but I did definitely push back on a few things that were said there as sort of things I didn't think were a great position, and I did suggest that we would help in any way, in the same way that we do with doctor recruitment, to encourage officers if they do want to come to town and with helping them find housing and friends, etc., etc. Volunteered at CD Saturday. Was that this last weekend or a week? 2 weeks ago? I can't remember. Life is a blur. Spent a lot of time with the biochar kiln, shoveling sticks and ashes. Attended the volunteer brunch Sunday. Excellent job by staff and Councillor Sim and everybody else involved in that. Good turnout, great location, and Gateway Grill gets a standing ovation for the food again. Did a lot of office hours, calls and emails. A lot of questions from the public related to bylaw concerns. A lot to do with fire smarting, and definitely a lot around road conditions and when parks are going to open and when various things are going to start for the year. So there is a lot of activity happening around town. People want to get going, and then of course it gets to zero when snowflakes happen. So, and then later this week is 2 days of TNRD meetings, Thursday, Friday, and then I will be in Vancouver for Monday, Tuesday next week for the BC Health Quality Forum, where our local hospital is getting an award for all their good work coming out of all those days of overnight closures of ER closures, and then getting to the point where we've only had, I believe, 2 since September of 2022. So that should be a very interesting conversation down there. That's my report. Moving on to Councillor Bratton.
So I was fairly quiet this last couple weeks. I would like to comment on the volunteer appreciation event. That was well done, Leanne and crew, because I'm sure it wasn't just her, but she did a fantastic job. And Councillor Sim was fantastic as the MC, and there was a lot of attendees, which was wonderful that people nominated groups of people. And you know, in our community, this is the heart and the hustle, and this is how we thrive, is all our volunteerism. So I really think if it's fantastic that we have such an embodiment in our community that love to volunteer. And if we can grow it, that would be fantastic. The pitch-in that will happen on the 20th, it's a Saturday. We have some high-vis vests coming. Please provide your own vests and make sure yourself is visible. We will be working on the roadways. We'll be at the North Thompson Sportsplex from 11 till 2 with garbage bags, gloves, and possibly a snack or two. And yeah, you can come see me. I will have grandchildren in tow. Oops. Anyhow, and May Day Parade is coming up in May, and registration is starting to come in, and I commend Valley Pride for being the organizers of this event. And there's many participants that help get this going. We have sponsors. I'm helping. I am not running it. I'm helping. There are sponsors from On Call that are doing the traffic control, and the coffee house, Tom Coles, and a bunch of groups. So when people hear Valley Pride, they are the organizers of the event, and you will see the same May Day Parade you've seen for 1,000 years. Or 100, you know.
2 questions really quickly. Same route as last year?
Sorry, yes. So it will start at Kershaw Subdivision, the old highway, and Kershaw lost the word.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah, intersection of North Thompson and Old Kershaw. So basically,
Intersection.
where was
Oh my goodness.
End of my street, which is good.
Yeah. We'll be on the old highway on the side of the road. It worked fantastic. You'll just meet us there, and you'll just have to do your little tidbits to get ready. Please don't come thinking, because you are on the side of the road, I would like not, for safety's sake, not to have everybody doing the whole float there. So, and people can walk and they can ride, and your e-bikes and four-footed friends can, furry friends can come. We had no animals last year. I'd really like to see some animals. And we will go from Kershaw to the Clearwater Bridge. And if you are a small float, you'll be able to go on to, I didn't mention the farmers market. You'll be able to go on to the farmers market and show off for them as well.
And it's early May Day this year. It's the 18th, I believe.
It's May 18th, and it will start at 11. Seems to be my time, 11.
Anything further?
That's it.
Okay, cool. Councillor Herring is away with work. Councillor.
Thank you, Mayor Blackwell. Pretty quiet couple of weeks for me yet again. But tail off of my night shifts are coming to an end here, so I was lucky enough to attend the volunteer brunch at the Ski Hill. I'd like to thank Councillor Sim, Ms. Culp, and Ms. Creed for all their hard work organizing this meaningful event. Also, Gateway Grill for a delicious brunch that made sure no guest left hungry. It was a full house, and only a portion of the over 70 nominees were in attendance. To me, 70 nominations is a small fraction of the actual volunteer base this community is fortunate enough to have. Your selfless acts of generosity don't go unnoticed, so please keep doing what you're doing. You help make Clearwater a better place. And that was all I've been to in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, that was the big one. And you're 100% correct. We're seeing it this week all on volunteer. It's volunteer week this week, I believe.
Oh,
so.
yeah, right.
Moving on to Councillor Matheson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, same. I've had a fairly quiet week. Volunteer appreciation was well done. I really enjoyed it. I know the volunteers that were all there very much enjoyed it. They loved the food, and I think it went over really well. So thank you to everybody involved in that. Other than that, I haven't had a lot, but I would like to just read out one matter that I think is a concern for our community. I don't know if you're all aware, at the end of this month, the local newspaper Clearwater Times is no longer going to have a physical presence in our town.
Oh.
It marks the end of a 60-year tradition of having a tangible hub for news, locals, engagement, community connection. The Times has been a cornerstone of our community since its inception in 1964, and over the years it's provided invaluable coverage of local events, news, and issues that are vital to our residents. From government proceedings to school activities, from business developments to community gatherings, the newspaper has been a reliable source of information and a platform for fostering civic engagement. The loss of a physical office for our local newspaper raises several concerns for our community. Firstly, it diminishes our access to timely and relevant information about happenings in our area. While remote reporting will continue, the absence of a physical presence may impact the depth and immediacy of the coverage. Furthermore, the closure of the office symbolizes a broader trend of diminishing local journalism in both small and large communities across the country. Local newspapers play a vital role in preserving community identity, promoting economic activity, and ensuring government accountability. The absence of a physical office threatens these functions and undermines the fabric of our community. In light of these concerns, I propose that this council take action to address this closure, and I would ask for a letter of concern to be addressed to expressing our deep concern about the loss of the physical presence and the implication that it holds for our community. It should be sent to the relevant stakeholders, including Black Press, the current owners of the newspaper. I would also move to invite Black Press representative to attend a council meeting to discuss the closure of the office and explore potential avenues for reinstating a physical presence in our community, and it could provide valuable insights in the decision-making process and then identify opportunities for collaboration or support. In conclusion, the closure of the Clearwater Times office is a matter of grave concern for our community. As elected representatives, it is our duty to advocate for the interests and well-being of our constituents. I urge this council to take proactive steps to address the issue and ensure the community continues to have access to local quality journalism and a tangible hub for community engagement.
Thank you for that statement. You would like that in a letter? Would you like to make a motion?
I would. I'd like to make a motion that a letter be sent.
Yeah. If you want to, it sounds like you've drafted most of that.
I've got most of it done.
Yeah. So I'd be more than happy to finish that up and send that off if you so desire. So you're making a motion?
I'll make a motion that a letter be drafted and sent to the current owners, Black Press.
Okay. Seconder on that?
Second that.
Okay. Any discussion?
Yes.
Thank you, Councillor President.
I'm not sure that the current owner is Black Press. I think they sold. So is it still?
Caribou was sold to Black Press, yeah.
Okay.
Just a comment on that. I think that, you know, once that letter is finalized, it is also shared out, because as this council or previous councils have looked at long before this, is that we saw sort of the demise of media, and that was one of the catalysts to why we came up with the community newsletter, is so that we could always be in control of some of our messaging and what we needed to share out. But the public also needs to be aware that, you know, the erosion of local media is also somewhat of our responsibility too, and that we cannot just continue to consume free media and then expect to be represented.
Right. Need to buy the paper.
So, all those in favor of sending a letter? Okay, thank you. Yeah, and then I'll work with Councillor Matheson to do that so it doesn't fall on staff. Thank you, and we'll get that off. And one further comment on that. When we talk shop local, that means advertise local. And I see a lot of stuff slipping to Facebook and other social media giants that do not need our small town dollars from our small town businesses. If the expectation is that we shop local at the local hardware stores and restaurants and the like, it would be great if the expectation was also that they advertise locally as well. Thank you. Moving on to Councillor Sim.
Thanks very much. Yeah, just to echo some of the accolades for the volunteer tea, and it was really a great idea, Councillor Frizzle, to tie it into Volunteer Week. I think that was a good kickoff, and I think that it was a great way that those who were particularly active in the winter got to have their wind down. And to be celebrated. Councillor Mackenzie, you're absolutely right. It is just a small fraction. I think that as council and as the mayor addressed at the tea, there is nothing great that doesn't happen in this community without our volunteers. That is absolutely positively everything. And just to even highlight that, as I look at the Clearwater Curiosity shop, you know, who has just made a further contribution of $34,100. To be invested into our hospital, you know, and all of that is volunteer based. So we are extremely fortunate. How this community, the citizens and the affiliations just bolster, you know, what 2,200 people are able to accomplish. That sort of ties into the next comment. Is I had a lot of reflections over the last meeting, and I just want to say that I regret stepping out when it came times to discussing about partnering with the Chamber of Commerce and the letter that they had brought forward. There was maybe some consideration that I might be in conflict of interest, and I really thought about it, and I actually listened to the meeting. And I don't think that I'm in conflict of interest any more than anybody else in this community is that without physicians, we would all be somewhat lost, especially in times of absolute health need. And I think that what we're doing is we're not recruiting, because I really appreciated what the mayor said, is that municipalities shouldn't be doing the recruiting. And that's true. So I think that what we voted for, what you all voted for last week, was actually just supporting placemaking, and it was establishing a sense of welcome to people who are coming, who are new to the community. And when people feel seen and heard, and so if you were a new physician coming into the community for the first time and you were presented with a community welcome, it sets a good tone. And what that does is it just supports kind of the opportunity that might be available here. So I just wanted to share that. And it's the same thing with what our hospital auxiliary does. What the Curiosity Shop does is we are using ourselves as the entity to create an environment that people can say, that's a good place to be. And just to let you know that Interior Health, unlike 15 years ago, they now have 3 recruiters under their umbrella. There is also a very active organization called the Interior Rural Recruitment and Retirement Committee, and they've worked really hard for Clearwater and some of the smaller communities. And when it comes to new opportunities, whether that be an international medical graduate student or a practice-ready assessment physician, which is one of the new initiatives for the government, this group of people comes together with about 40 other people representing communities, and they say, let's support our more vulnerable communities in moving forward and in getting a new candidate. So the recruitment is out there. So back to, you know, where this all started, is I think that we are such a fortunate community to be able to work with people to create that sense of welcome where people can say, I see where I could fit here, even if it's for a short period of time. So thank you for that. And again, thanks to all the volunteers in our community who really do make this a very special place to live.
Anything further?
No, just Councillor Matheson had a
Matheson,
question.
One quick comment I forgot about, just a quick update from the food bank. They've been finding the last 2 months now has been steadily increasing, and it's gotten to the point that they actually, on 2 of the last handouts, they actually ran out of food. There's so many people coming in for hampers, so it is becoming an issue. They're good financially and everything else, but the fact that they can't even, get it together enough food and expect that it's going to go up, but it's continuing to go up.
I have a question on that, and I'm wondering, because often at this time of year is when people are waiting for that seasonal bridge. So whether EI benefits or something, has there been any indication about where the metrics are about, who is accessing more?
It doesn't seem that it's a seasonal bridge right now. There's a lot of seniors coming in, working poor, things like that, and it's going up. 1 in out of every 10 households in Clearwater right now is accessing the food bank. 1 out of 10.
There's a story in that. Okay, thank you for that. Nothing further under council reports. There isn't a CAO report this time around. We do have new business. We have staff reports under 17.1. A lot to do with the Pride Crosswalk and associated items. So that is page 21 and on. Some nice pictures in there. I think whoever, Mr. Johnson's going to speak to this, I believe.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Blackwell. We've been meeting with the Pride group about the potential options. And this was one that came from staff, particularly Roger suggesting that as part of these improvements, we could potentially move the crosswalk location and being in front of the RCP office, which is down the downslope of a hill, which is going to be subject to a lot more grit, a lot more salt, a lot more degradation of the infrastructure. So if we move this to that location, it's actually not on the actual cars going over, it's actually the pathway portion. And our Pride group was very happy with that. And then we had another suggestion that came forward today from staff, which was, why don't we paint the dock in a rainbow crosswalk?
I love it.
So we had I did put a phone call through to Kaylin today, and he was ecstatic about the opportunity of that. So I think rather than the recommendation that's in front, I think we should put that a little bit more generic at this point so that we can continue on. They're quite excited. They've got funds set aside. We don't think we need those funds for this. We can do this operationally by putting in a bench, by looking at doing the dock, and then also looking at that pathway component as well. And one of the things we didn't include in the report that we should have is this does line up with council strategic priorities in terms of being an inclusive community, and this is really moving towards that support. So with this, we're looking for council's support to move this forward, and I know everybody's really, really excited about making this happen. And what we'd like to do is have the Pride folks come in and maybe help us clean, maybe help our staff as we're rolling out the paint, and make this really a community Pride event where everybody has an opportunity to be a part of it. So with that, we present this for your information. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Sim.
Well, first of all, you had me at strategic, so. The second comment is in these discussions, because it sounds like that is a very lively vision for the community. I think if I remember correctly, Valley Pride had also had some indications about maybe some thoughts about the beach house. Right now it's a bit of a sad building, but great. I mean, it goes with everything. And I don't know if that had come up in that, or if there had been other discussions, because this seems to have just led to just really great ideas.
In the discussions I've had with them, and they've been brief, I've only had 2 short discussions that may have been brought up, but I'm just not aware of it.
Okay.
If I can get additional information on that, I will certainly do that and bring that to council at the next meeting.
It does sound exciting to have like a community, event of it, and North Thompson Arts. There seems to be some real opportunity here about invigorating, and it ties into placemaking.
Any further questions? Yes, no, excellent. And I love how this is evolving, because I'm just picturing a rainbow dock going out into Dutch Lake as a picture. that could be taken. I mean, that's just,
Yeah,
yeah, no, that's just a brilliant addition to something else. I don't know, it's this brainstorming thing that people come up with great ideas. Yeah, it takes a village. I've got a village story anyways. Okay, thank you for that. And moving on to item 18.1, we have staff reports. There's a PDF, and we have the 5-year 2024 to 2028 5-year financial plan. Ms. Klassen, are you speaking on this at all, or am I just reading the bylaw? Okay, so this is for adoption. Can I get a mover and a seconder on adoption of the 2024 to 2028 5-year financial plan? Moved by Councillor McKenzie, seconded by, oh, thank you, Councillor Frizzle.
my hand was up.
Okay, sorry, get longer arms. District of Clearwater, 2024 to 2028 5-year financial plan, bylaw number 299, 2024, a bylaw to adopt the 2024 to 2028 5-year financial plan. Whereas in section 165 of the community charter requires that council should adopt or shall adopt a 5-year financial plan. Now therefore the council of the District of Clearwater in open meeting assembles and acts as follows. This bylaw may be cited as District of Clearwater bylaw number 299 2024 to 2028 5-year financial plan. All those in favor? And that is adopted. Thank you. There are 3 letters, information only. One from the Dr. Helmicken Memorial Hospital Auxiliary, City of Port Alberni.
Can I stop you at the hospital auxiliary?
Sorry, what?
Stop you at the hospital auxiliary?
Yep, sure.
Because that ties into the Curiosity thrift store. I do just want to draw to council's attention that it is May the 5th. And I think that the request was as if we wanted to make a donation. So to that end, I would like to... well, I'd like to discuss whether we make a donation or just do something for their live auction table. But I do think it's an important thing to support. And I also want to say that if anybody wants to attend, it's a really nice afternoon. And so you can purchase tickets. You can get in touch with Marilyn. But it is a wonderful way to show support for this group. So back to their request.
What's the desire of council? So we want to, there's a sponsor table for $50, or do we want to, I mean, that sounds like a couple of people are going to attend.
Would it be feasible to make a sponsor table for $50 and purchase 2 tickets?
Yep. You want to make that a motion?
Yep. I make the motion to sponsor a table for $50 and to purchase 2 tickets for members of council or staff
And
to
it's
attend.
coming out of council contingency?
My favorite pot.
Okay. Is that reasonable? Seconded by Councillor Frizzle. Further discussion? All those in favor? Okay. There's 2 more letters there. Of course. Yep. Go ahead, Councillor Frizzle.
This is a very important request of having a rural seniors caucus at UBCM, but also to have a minister or ministry that focuses on rural seniors. I had this whole thing that I wanted to say, but then I read through this whole report, and I'm just going to read it to you. While rural seniors lack the physical resources of their urban counterparts, it is important to recognize that many have a robust base of organized volunteers who run the senior centers, teach the chair yoga, and cook the weekly lunches. We do all of that, plus more here. The sense of community that develops from the necessity that everyone needs to help each other in rural BC is one of its greatest strengths. However, it is important to recognize this does not make it less deserving of government support and service. And that's what I see, that why we need to have that representation, to know that any organization in our community and all small communities have that place that they can go to, and it's not just a massive government entity, but it's a ministry that was working with rural seniors. It's important. So I just think we should put our name to that. So.
I agree with you.
So you could send a letter of support to Port Alberni, or
To Port Alberni or add our name? Yeah, I'll send a letter of support to Port Alberni. I make a motion to send a letter of support.
okay, seconder on that.
Second that.
Okay. Further discussion? I think that's a simple letter. We can just respond to that.
Yeah.
I don't mind putting that together. You could co-sign it if you wish or something.
Great, that'd be awesome.
Okay, thank you. Further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Okay, thank you. And then there is the last one was Minister of Housing, which I think I sent out to council via email on that. It's either that one or another one from Minister of Housing. There are no notices of motion. Any questions from the public? Comments from the public? Annabelle?
End of the month.
End of this month, yeah. Yeah, so at this point, my understanding is that they're looking for rental space for a day or two around town, a meeting room. I've made a couple suggestions to them, but they don't seem terribly confident in those yet. YCS has space, the credit union has space, meeting room space, but yeah, losing the physical office, I think, as Councillor Matheson said, is quite a shame. Anything further, Annabelle? Sorry, okay. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, oh yeah. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Yes, I think.
So the local paper will still be done at this point. It'll be done remotely, so the reporter will be traveling from Kamloops or Barrier up here as needed.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. We do have need to move into camera. There is a recommendation that the meeting be closed to the public pursuant to sections 91 of the community charter and to discuss matters related to A, personal information about an identifiable individual who holds or is being considered for a position as an officer, employee, or agent of the municipality or another position appointed by the municipality. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that motion to move into camera? Moved by Councillor Frizzle, seconded by Councillor Matheson. All those in favor? And we will take a 10-minute adjournment. See you back at 3:30. Thank you.